any type of, saying things to the customer that is like, whoops, that's not quite what I meant, that kind of thing.
I currently use this kind of information in the industry that I work with, and one of the big things is it's kind of like delegating in a sense. Like you can only answer something so far, but if they try to get into something more in depth, you have to steer them to the right channels. Like let's say an individual says, I need to know more about this product, but it says in section A something 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 to change this piece of product that is exclusive to HP. Like, okay, well, you need to call our service line or speak to an on-service individual or talk to this individual in a more private setting. But otherwise, most of those kind of questions you can answer on the fly. But if it becomes much more in depth, that's usually how you want to approach it.
Okay, okay. I think that was all my questions. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so now give them some feedback on their presentation.
Okay, so let's go with what the areas of strength for both of you. So I like the setup of the presentation. I like that it was broken into the 3 areas, that you kind of talked about what you were going to say at the beginning. I think you mentioned like the big 3 somewhere at the beginning. So, kind of setting the expectation of exactly what you would be discussing. I liked that you had the examples right behind you and you were showing me live, like here's what you can do and here's an example, and you kept going back to the example of Anne, and I think you both did several times, and I think that even though you had 2 different speakers, that continuity of going back to that example throughout both of your presentations helped the presentation hang together, so that was really good. I liked all the visuals behind you, and even, so I'll say, and this is to you, Jason, even though you're having a couple of technical issues, I think you handled it really well. You kind of, you're like, oh, the technology, I mean, that's exactly what I would have done, and kind of made light of it, and we were able to just roll with it. So perfect way of handling those kinds of things. I liked that you challenged it because you made it a little bit more of a complicated presentation where there is that several different types of media that you're trying to show, and though more can go wrong in that type of presentation, I like that you kind of took a challenge and made it a little bit more complex. You both had very personable conversational styles. Now, Jason, you had more of a energetic style, and Jordan, you had a little bit of a softer presentation style, but I think both of you had that command of the audience. You had a very confident tone in your voice, and even though you present in different ways, you both still have a command of the audience. So I think this is actually 2 good examples of showing how, personality styles, you can still be a strong presenter even with different personality styles. So good job on that for both of you. Let me see, I'm just going through my notes real quick. Like you said, the real-time examples, I learned a lot, so let me just go to the data, not necessarily the presentation itself, but the data that you had in your presentation was really, really helpful. I learned a lot, and I'm kind of embarrassed that I didn't know about some of the communities that HP supports. So I definitely have my homework to kind of go off and investigate that. So you definitely gave me some stuff that I need to go take a look at. Like this conversational tone, you kept kind of emphasizing the key points, and you said it more than once, and I think that's also really important that, the key highlights that both of you kept wrapping back around to the theme, so that was also very good.
Thank you.
As far as areas that you might want to consider for future presentations, I'm looking through my notes still. I think you both got very comfortable. There was Jordan, you're a little bit more of a formal presentation style. You relaxed as you went through, so I think that was good as you kind of loosened up and you kind of went with it. But again, you both maintained that very strong presentation style, and Jordan, you did get more comfortable as you went through, so that was really good. Let's see, looking through. The only thing I'd say about the examples, and this isn't you guys or even the presentation, but this is just a reality of presenting through this type of forum, is I couldn't really see the slides as both of you is you might want to say something at the beginning of, you know, we can send you links to these slides or something like that, so that if I wanted to look at those examples, maybe as you're going through it in a little bit more detail, I would know where to go. So maybe like almost like a reference list would be helpful. And in this presentation, it probably would have been helpful at the beginning versus at the end, so I could have actually seen it in a little bit more detail. But again, that's more of just presenting where I can't see the screen as clearly, so not necessarily anything that you would have known to prepare for this.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think that's it. The same kind of thing as I mentioned to the other presenters is if you can kind of have a resource list or next steps or something like that at the end, that would also have been helpful. But real good work, you guys. I can tell you put a lot of time into it, and nice job.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Meredith, do you need a break before we move on?
Yeah, just a couple minutes to go grab a glass of tea if that's
Okay, why don't we reconvene at 7:15? That gives us 8 minutes.